At Arizona State University, we're bringing world-class education from our globally acclaimed faculty to you. Ranked #1 in innovation for 10 consecutive years and #2 among public universities for employability, ASU isn't just ahead of the curve, it's creating new paths to success. Earn your degree from the nation's most innovative university. Online, that's a degree better. Explore more than 300 undergraduate, graduate, and certificate programs at asuonline.asu.edu.
Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we cut through the noise and get straight to the insights. This WNBA season has been, well, undeniably electric.
Yeah, it really has.
Just unprecedented attention, and, a lot of that is swirling around one transcendent rookie. So today, we're going to dig into a recent high-profile game that really sparked some intense discussions.
Right.
And we want to unpack what that truly signals, maybe, for the league's future.
That's spot on. Our mission here really is to take this stack of recent reports, stats, game recaps, player takes, standings, all of it, and pull out the most important stuff about the WNBA's physicality, which seems to be evolving, or at least under a microscope, and, yeah, what we're calling the Caitlin Clark effect.
Yeah, that term is everywhere.
It is. And the goal is you walk away from this with let's say, a more nuanced view on why these debates are dominating sports talk right now and what it all means for where the league is headed.
Okay, so the specific focus then for this deep dive, it's that recent clash, Indiana Fever versus the Connecticut Sun, specifically their game, June 23rd, 2025.
Yeah, that one.
Because that game just perfectly highlighted the competitive fire, the sheer physicality that seems to define the league right now.
It really did.
You've got these two kind of compelling stories, right? The Sun, perennial powerhouse, known for that suffocating D, veteran leaders. They're sitting first in the East, second overall in the WNBA as of yesterday, June 24th.
Right, consistent contenders.
And then you have the Fever, rapidly ascending, a lot of buzz, undeniably fueled by Caitlin Clark, the #1 pick. They're currently fourth in the East.
A teen on the rise, for sure.
And these matchups between them, they've just become absolute must-watch TV.
Yeah, they have. And what's striking, I think, is how these two teams almost embody different phases maybe of the WNBA right now. The Sun are the established, disciplined force. They're built on collective strength, no-nonsense defense, real depth. In that June 23rd game, you saw veteran DeWanna Bonner leading their scoring.
Yep.
While Alyssa Thomas, like always, just demonstrated her incredible all-around impact. Fill in the stat sheet points, rebounds, assists, you name it.
She does everything.
Exactly. And then you had key contributions from, like, Tyasha Harris, Brianna Jones. It just underscored their collective strength. It shows why they consistently dominate.
Yeah, their dominance in that game against the Fever was pretty undeniable. They really just stifled Indiana's offense. Jeanette Carrington came off the bench for them, too, brought that valuable defense and a scoring spark.
Good point.
And speaking of defense, physicality, Sophie Cunningham. She contributes so much beyond the box score, right? Always bringing that aggressive, disruptive energy.
She really does. Sets a tone.
And Marina Macri, too. She was super active on D, often guarding Clark directly in those matchups, really embodying that intense two-way play.
And from maybe a wider angle, the Suns' win just cemented their status as a top contender. Not just for the championship, but also, for the Commissioner's Cup.
Right. That adds another layer.
It does. Another layer of high-stakes, intense basketball during the season. Their ability to just execute a disciplined game plan, overwhelm teams with that collective strength. That's exactly why they're always near the top.
But for the Fever, even in a tough game like that one, you still see flashes, right? You see the potential, why people are excited about this ascending team.
Oh, absolutely.
Caitlin Clark, despite facing just relentless defensive pressure, she still led the Fever in scoring.
She did.
Now, okay, she faced big efficiency challenges from the field, which is, a clear testament to the defense she was up against.
For sure. That Sun defense is legit.
But she also dished out assists, showed that playmaking ability, and you had other key players like Aaliyah Boston, Kelsey Mitchell. They had solid contributions, even though the team as a whole, well, they just struggled to find rhythm against that kind of D.
And this really brings us to that crucial question, doesn't it, about Clark's huge impact and this whole context of physicality in the league.
Yeah.
Her arrival, it's been nothing short of a phenomenon. It's sparked unprecedented viewership, sellout crowds across the league. It's incredible.
It really is. The numbers are staggering.
But her transition? It's been marked by intense physicality from opponents. Veterans are known for tough D, And, well, they haven't wasted any time testing her. Double teams, hard screens, the works.
And this physicality, it's not just on the court, is it? It sparked this really fierce debate off the court.
Oh, yeah, big time.
Like, how do we distinguish between just legitimate, tough WNBA basketball and what some people are starting to call rookie hazing or even targeting?
That's the million-dollar question, it seems.
Because you've got fans, commentators raising concerns about maybe flagrant fouls or overly aggressive plays aimed specifically at Clark, seeing it as unfair.
Right, the protect the star argument.
But then you have others arguing, hey, this is just pro ball. This is the WNBA. It's physical. Like any rookie, she has to adapt. She has to adjust.
Yeah, the welcome to the league kids perspective.
It's just this clash of views that's really captivating the sports media right now.
And what makes it compelling, too, is how certain players almost embody this debate. You mentioned Sophie Cunningham earlier. She's known for that fiery demeanor, right?
Yeah.
Aggressive play. She plays with this, like, no-nonsense attitude.
Yeah.
And people often bring up her background in martial arts. She has a black belt in Taekwondo when they talk about her discipline and physicality.
Right, that always comes up.
And she said publicly, the WNBA is physical, rookies need to adjust. It's a pretty clear stance on that dynamic.
And speaking of players defining that physical edge, Marina Magabre, we saw her with that intense defense against Clark in earlier games, too.
Yep.
She perfectly exemplifies that unapologetically physical part of the WNBA, basically challenging Clark to step up to the pro level's rigor. These players, they represent that established, tough, competitive nature that's always defined the league.
And this adaptation process, it's really important to remember this is a common thing. It's a developmental curve for pretty much all rookies, regardless of how big a star they were in college.
Good point. It's easy to forget sometimes with all the hype.
It is. And the WNBA's competitive landscape, especially with things like the Commissioner's Cup, which, by the way, the Sun are strong contenders for. They won it back in 2023. That just adds another layer of intensity.
Right.
The standings we mentioned, as of June 24th, Sun leading the East, second overall, Fever fourth in the East. It just highlights how dynamic and challenging this 2025 season really is.
So wrapping things up a bit, what does this all mean looking forward? We've seen how Caitlin Clark's arrival has been, well, just a phenomenon. Ignited this incredible surge in popularity viewership for the WNBA.
Undeniable.
We've dug into the intense physicality she's facing, using that Sun versus Fever game on June 23rd as a prime example. Sun's dominance, stifling D, even with Clark leading the Fever scoring, albeit inefficiently. We've talked about key players in this whole physicality conversation, like Sophie Cunningham, Marina Mabre, how their styles kind of embody that long-standing league toughness.
Yeah, and if we look at the bigger picture, the so what of it all, while these debates about, rookie hazing versus adapting to the pros keep swirling in the media.
Right.
Caitlin Clark herself has seemed largely pretty composed publicly. She keeps saying her focus is just on improving her game, getting better.
Yeah.
And her stats, they do show flashes of brilliance, even with the struggles. And it's just so crucial to remember this adaptation. It's normal. It's a developmental path most rookies walk in this league. And that Commissioner's Cup context just reinforces how competitive things are.
Okay, so considering all the undeniable growth, the Caitlin Clark effect, this massive new wave of attention, how does the league balance that? How do they balance maybe calls for star protection with the inherent long-standing toughness and physicality that has always defined elite WNBA play? That seems like the core tension, doesn't it?
It really does.
So maybe the final thought for you, the listener, to mull over is just that. What do you think is the optimal path forward for the league's continued growth and its competitive integrity? How do they navigate that?